Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. It's Tuesday, January 23rd, and time for another edition of our great podcast we bring to you 6 times a week right here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. Like every Tuesday, I'm Ross Benjamin, by the way, and I'm your host. And every Tuesday, I am joined by Mr. Sean Higgs and Mr. Jesse Schule, all three of us of our sponsor site, gamblersworld.net, where we guarantee our selections, folks. All daily single game and multi-game packages, as well as subscription plans of 30 days or fewer, are all guaranteed that if you don't win, you don't make a profit. We will credit, I should say, your account back the exact amount of your purchase price. Gentlemen, how are you? Starting with you, Sean.
I don't know, a little annoyed. I had a 2-0 Saturday account of NFL, and then took the donut on Sunday with your Bills screwing up my life. I was high in a bill. You know what? What am I going to do? I had an excellent player prop run on Saturday with Lamar's over props for rushing. But, hey, it is what it is with the NFL. We got a good championship weekend heading into Sunday. So we'll see how we do. We'll see how we do here.
Yeah. That was disappointing to me on many levels. What are you going to do? I mean, I'm starting to believe the Bills are just cursed, the franchise in general. But
you can't really. How do we cursed? I mean, you got the gift out of the back of the side of the end zone touchback to keep you in the game. You were in the game even though your defense was totally depleted. You're in the game almost possibly to win the game. You got a drop. You got maybe a couple bad passing calls there by Allen, then a field goal. I mean, that's not really cursing. You were lucky to get there. You're almost blessed to get into that spot with the way that game transpired.
No, I know. Yeah, no. Well, the bottom line is they had the ball for 37 minutes, Buffalo.
Yep.
So it's not like they didn't play well on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Diggs drops that long ball or lets it go through his hands. On what I thought was a perfect throw, and then you had Sherfield drop another long one that was very catchable. It's just frustrating. The bottom line is, my thing was I thought that Spagnuolo made some halftime adjustments because Buffalo was jamming it right down their throat with the run game, and by the fourth quarter they couldn't get anything in the run game, and Joe Brady never adjusted. And I think Joe Brady's a great offensive coordinator. He did a terrific job and reined in Josh Allen. But it is what it is. Kansas City just has their number. Three times in the last 4 years, they've been eliminated in the playoffs by Kansas City. The other game, Detroit Lions, a nice story. One of the other games, I should say, the Detroit Lions coming through for their fan base. And, boy, what an electric atmosphere it was in Detroit for those two games, huh, Jesse?
Yeah, maybe I'll get us a little off topic here. Again, like Sean, I had a good Saturday and then not so great Sunday. And one of my plays was on the Bucks +7. So they're down 14. They get that touchdown, and of course they go for 2. And the analytics guys are telling me, no, you always go for 2 when you're down by 2 touchdowns. And I'm looking at this thinking, well, and the reasoning behind it sounds to me like, well, if you always go for 2 when you're down 14, why don't you always go for 2 when you're up 7, when you're down 3?
When it's 0-0, just go for 2 all the time.
I mean, if it's good to go for 2, you just go for 2. And we saw when they moved the PAT back, Pittsburgh decided analytically we're better off going for 2 on every touchdown. And how long did that last? Analytically, it might have made sense. In practice, it didn't make sense. They stopped doing it. I think that we need to understand that sometimes the analytics don't match up with the reality of the situation. And another thing I'll say is, even if the analytics say that you should go for 2 when you're down 14, I think if you pull within
the touchdown, a score, a tie,
pull within a touchdown, the amount of momentum that you lose and the soul-crushing feeling. So you go for 2 and you miss it. Now you're down in the dumps. You should be on an emotional high.
We need to stop. We need to stop to tie this, or then we go for 2.
Yeah, it's like you've all your momentum's gone. The air's out of the balloon. With
and you know, my theory. You have heard me address this on several occasions about how mind-boggling those types of decisions are. It's even more mind-boggling, like I've saw on several occasions over the last few years, is when teams go for 2 and they're down 9. Why would you do that? You know, especially in the fourth quarter. Why would you do that? I mean, you missed the 2-point conversion. Now it's a 2-score game instead of a 1-score game. What's that do to the mental frame of mind, like you're alluding to, Jesse? You know what I mean? Now it's like when you're down 1 score, okay, we're still in this thing. We just need to get the ball back for our offense. If we score, we can go for 2 and tie the game. In this particular instance, with the Tampa Bay game, it was mind-boggling to me. Look, I had Tampa Bay +6. I was all for them going for 2 just for selfish reasons. But when you start really analyze it from an objective standpoint without the point spread being involved, okay, and you not needing a specific team and just talk about a fan base or talking about the best interest of a team, why would you go for 2 down 8? Okay, so what you're saying is if you make it, then you're going to kick the field goal on the next possession and win the game. I would venture to say, why not kick the extra point? And then if the game is in the final minute on the road, then a 2-point conversion will make more sense. Okay, but now you failed on a 2-point conversion. What's the higher percentage play? Kicking an extra point or a 2-point conversion? What's the analytics say there? Okay, extra points are in the NFL what around, I don't know. I would venture to say 97, 98% in that area for the most part. If I'm off, it's not by much. It's a high percentage play. 2-point conversions. Yeah, I mean, look, if you got a 5-yard, say somebody went offside on the extra point try, that's another story because now you're moving the ball up to the 1, and the analytics drastically change then, and the percentages change. But I'm with you, Jesse. That made absolutely no sense to me. I've seen Sean McDermott. I remember a few years ago in a critical game against Baltimore where they were down 9 and they went for 2 with 5 minutes to go, and they made it. And I had these idiots next to me going, you got to go for 2. No, you don't have to go for 2. What if they miss that? Now there's 5 minutes to go and you're down 9. You need the ball back twice and hope you score on both possessions. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on to the college basketball games we're going to be discussing. Just mind-boggling. It really is. It just seems like we complicate situations that we don't need to. And analytics are good to a point, but sometimes some of these coaches go away, and it's going to cost, like I said, with this guy from the Chargers that just got fired, you keep following analytics to a T, you're going to be sitting with the people who figure the analytics out and not coaching. All right. Houston at BYU, Jesse. Houston, a 3-point favorite here, total 136.5. 2 top 25 teams, Houston being right up there in the top 3. And BYU, really solid team. If you look at the analytics under offensive and defensive efficiency numbers, they're pretty damn good and look to be much better than what the ranking is. But in any event, this is a challenging matchup. We discussed Houston before. They played 2 Big 12 games on the road. They lost them both. What's your take here?
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy game for either team. It's a tough game to handicap. But at the end of the day, we got a team in the Cougars that are 10-1 at home that have a very strong home court, and they're getting a couple points. I'm going to have to lean towards the Cougars here, and I will bring up the elevation at Provo, Utah. We're sitting at 1,387 meters above sea level, which is slightly less than in Denver, 1,609 meters, but we're in the same neighborhood. And, in college basketball, we don't talk a lot about elevation. We do bring it up quite often in the NFL, in NHL with the Colorado Avalanche, and in the NBA with the Denver Nuggets. It's something that is well documented. We don't speak a lot about it in college hoops, but maybe now that BYU is in the Big 12, maybe it'll be something that is more talked about. But you mentioned the Cougars lost at Iowa State and TCU, so they have shown that they're not invincible on the road. This is a tough game for the favorite here, Houston, coming into Provo, and we got the elevation, and we got BYU just being very strong team at home. I will take the points with the BYU Cougars.
Jesse Schule likes BYU plus the 3 over Houston, and he cites the elevation factor possibly being a determining factor here. And, if you look at BYU's home record, there's a lot of validity to that, especially not just this year, but over the last decade or so. They have a strong home court, not to mention the fact that they packed the joint night after night with 17,000 real loyal fans there in Provo. So their home court advantage extends much beyond other home court advantages in college basketball due to those reasons. Anyway, Sean, what's your take?
I mean, listen, I like Houston as a team. Very good, but tough spot to play. We've talked about this since we started back to college basketball videos. You have a really good team on the road, a small little fave versus in this case, a pretty good BYU team. All right, they had a loss here, a win there, but the home court's too much for me as well. I'm getting buckets here at home. Houston, they're in the Big 12 now, and as is BYU and Cincinnati. But Houston was a team that would go into these rare situations and come out with wins or close games because it was a one-off, because you're beating up on lower teams in Conference USA or the American Conference or wherever they were before, as these conferences change all the time. So I'm going to go BYU here with Jesse. I like it.
Yeah, can't disagree with you, gentlemen, on this one. Tough circumstances for Houston to play in. Excellent team. Who's going to make a deeper run in the NCAA tournament? Unequivocally, I would pick Houston to have a better chance to do so than BYU. But we're not talking long haul. We're talking about, and that's where people lose sight of the comment on our channel. We look at every game as a single entity. Okay, we don't look at overall records. We don't look at, okay, if I'm going to pick a team to win it all, who am I going to pick? Houston or BYU? I would say the majority of people would say Houston's a better chance to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament to BYU. But we're talking about a game at BYU, mid-season contest. A lot of things to account for above and beyond what in our industry and what we do, above and beyond with what a lot of people are capable of thinking about. So not to say everybody's dumb out there and we're smart, but this is why we do it for a living. And there's no simple way to do things when it comes to picking a winner against a spread, folks. All right, Sean, we got your matchup, which is another good one, is we're looking at Kentucky at South Carolina. Kentucky right now is a 5.5-point road favorite. The total is 155. Kentucky likes to play an extremely fast tempo style of basketball, and Kentucky very young. South Carolina with an impressive record at home is a dog, but the difference between the two records, there's not a huge disparity in the records, but there's a huge disparity in the strength of schedule, Sean. But again, you just can't automatically take a team that's had a stronger strength of schedule. That's why the point spread is what it is. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think.
Yeah. Also, South Carolina is a Kentucky. So South Carolina doesn't get the schedule like North Carolina is in huge, these non-conference games that are battle for Atlantis or New York or wherever. They have some kind of crazy tournament. They got all the blue bloods there. So Kentucky's going to have a stronger strength of schedule just based on who they are. But also they win games, right? This is a top 5, top 10 team. Very good. I'm going to look at the first half here, though. This was a 4.5 last night. It's 5.5 now, which makes perfect sense because Kentucky's not over 90 points in 6 of their last 7 games, 87 in the one game they didn't get to 90. But I just think if South Carolina's going to put up a little fight here, and do I lean a little South Carolina? Yeah, you'd have to look at the little home dog. But first half is where I'm going to look. If they're going to come out and put up a fight here, it's going to be first half, right? We saw Kentucky big first half, collapse a little second half, but the talent-wise is just off the charts against many teams where they have the edge. But I'm going to go first half here. I think South Carolina with the fans, you got a top team coming in there. You're going to be pumped up. Let's go first half here. I mean, over. I'm not going to. People are going to run to the over here because the team scores 90 something points a game. I totally understand. Carolina's tempo is totally different. This is a team that's, 9 out of their last 10. They don't score 77 points. These guys are in the 70s. So I think in strong first half for the home doggies, I'll lean that direction. Let's take that 3 in the first half with South Carolina.
Yeah, to your point, Sean, when it comes to adjusted tempo, according to KenPom, South Carolina, number 348, which means they, in
slow.
terms of tempo, they're slow. There's only 363 teams in college basketball. Only 14 play at a slower pace right now than South Carolina, and they average 63.7 offensive possessions per 40 minutes. They're also number 339 in offensive time of possession, taking 19.1 seconds per offensive possession, which is extremely slow as well. And they protect the basketball pretty good. They're 106 in terms of offensive turnover percentage. So, it's a contrast to styles. But also the point I made about the schedule, it's enticing to look at a 15-3 team as a home underdog. But keep in mind, I mean, their non-conference portion of their schedule was ranked 325 out of 363 teams, which means they played a bunch of cream puffs. And then you compare that with Kentucky, who's played not a real strong strength of schedule, but certainly more stronger than what South Carolina's faced. But Jesse, what's your thoughts here?
Geez, Ross, it kind of sounds like you're trying to talk me out of taking the home dog plus the points, which I got penciled in here. It looks like it will be a pace war, as you guys highlighted. The slow pace of play from the home team and the fast pace of play from Kentucky. But at the end of the day, you got a team that's 9-1 at home. They're getting a bunch of, not just a few points, but a bunch of points. And, South Carolina sort of has the history on their side. They've played Kentucky pretty tough. And I think it's a good spot to be grabbing 5.5 points. And that line movement, getting the extra bit of points there. I got to lean with the home dog.
All right. So Jesse likes the home dog, South Carolina Gamecocks plus the 5.5 over Kentucky. But our official play comes from Sean Higgs, who is going to take South Carolina +3 against Kentucky in the first half. Sean cites the fact that games like this, the home underdog will usually come out all juiced up and play a great half of basketball. And then once the crowd gets taken out of play and the other team gets a chance, the favorite gets a chance to wear the other team down, that's what normally happens. But again, I see both of your picks as being good ones in my estimation. Okay. I like your thought process, Sean, on the +3 first half on South Carolina. I like Jesse's thought process as well. Just because the team has played a stronger schedule like Kentucky has, it doesn't assure you the fact you're going to win a game. But again, the last time Kentucky was on the road was a couple Saturdays ago at Texas A&M. They lose 97-92. And Jesse's point on the 9-1 at home, it must be noted, though, South Carolina did lose their last home game. It's against a Georgia team that not a lot of people are talking about right now, but they've been playing terrific basketball after starting the season, I believe, 1-3. They're on a nice roll. So keep an eye on Georgia. You might be able to get some betting value from them, especially when they start to play the upper echelon teams in the SEC. All right, let me look at my game. Texas at Oklahoma. Right now, Oklahoma is a 4.5-point favorite. Total in this game is 142.5. And this total opened at 146. It's been bet down to 142.5. There's been a ton of money coming in on the under, and most of that has to do with Oklahoma and the pace they play at and the pace that Texas plays at. Doesn't figure to be a real high-tempo game. However, you look at Texas, they've gone over the total in the last 5, and coincidentally, that's their first 5 games they played in the Big 12. So since Big 12 action has started, they're 5-0 to the over, And the combined average score, 147.4, which is a little over what we're seeing here at 142.5. Offensively in Big 12 action, they're shooting 48%. They're knocking down 39% of their threes. But Texas has not been very good in conference play defensively. They're allowing opponents to shoot a shade under 49% and also convert on a shade over 41% under three-point attempts. They're also allowing 24 free throw attempts per game in their 5 Big 12 contests. This is also a Texas team that's number 33 in offensive efficiency and number 30 nationally when it comes to three-point percentage offense. So they knock down threes. They are efficient offensively, but they show a little bit of vulnerability defensively, which is unusual because Texas is known for playing good defense over the years. Oklahoma, on the other hand, are number 47 in offensive efficiency, number 38 in free throw percentage at 76.3%. Why do I bring that up? Because they're facing a Texas team that's allowed 24 free throws attempts per game in their last 5. This is also an Oklahoma team 11-0 at home this year, averaging just under 84 points per game and shooting over 50% from the field. 7 of their 11 home games have gone over the total. This is a Texas team that's the most experienced team in the country, and they've had their fair share of games against Oklahoma of late. And the last 3 times this experienced Texas team has played Oklahoma, all 3 of those contests have gone over the total with an average combined score of 155 and an average total in the low 140s. So I'm going Texas, Oklahoma here over to 142.5. I just think I would not be shocked, honestly, if this game falls between 143 and 146. The opener was 146. And like Jesse likes to say, if you're thinking about betting the under, you're too late in terms of value. So, Jesse, your thoughts?
Well, Ross, I'm not going to get deep into advanced analytics here. I'm going to look at a real simple concept, and it's buy low and sell high. I was really hard on Texas in the last show we did about the Texas Longhorns, and I was hard on their leading scorer, Max Absmus, said a lot of negative things about Texas. But at the end of the day, Texas snapped their losing skid against Baylor, and you got an Oklahoma team that's racked up an impressive record. But when I look at their record, I wonder, who have they really beat? Like, what is Oklahoma's signature win? And when I go through their schedule, I'm looking at a non-conference game against Arkansas, a pretty inconsistent, not that great Arkansas team. Is that their best win, or is it a home win over Iowa State? They're not really beating the who's who of college basketball. They've sort of racked up a ton of wins against inferior opponents. And I don't think we really – I don't know that we can really sit here and say Oklahoma is as good as their record at this point in the season. And, of course, we could say Texas has been a disappointment, but perhaps a bit of a get-right situation. They're getting a handful of points here on the road at Oklahoma. And I'm inclined to think that the value is with the team that everybody's down on rather than the team that everybody's high on. So I will take the points.
Yep. So Jesse Schule, he will take Texas. They're plus 4.5 at Oklahoma. And Sean, your thoughts?
I'm shocked that this line is moving up. It was a 3.5. It's now a 4.5. Texas has won 5 in a row. Two of the last 3 overtimes, and then the 70-69 game. I mean, normally I'm like, let's run and take the underdog here. I want to take Oklahoma based on everything Jesse said. I mean, like, on the face value, look at so I think they beat Iowa on a neutral and somebody else, USC or UCLA.
Yeah, Iowa, USC, whoever. Providence, Arkansas, who I think.
Nothing super, but just kind of like your generic, let's be honest, teams that are going to make the NCAA tournament, because the big schools always get 10 squads from the programs in, So nothing fancy sticks out. Like, Texas has played better teams. They've lost some. They've won a couple. It just seems like an odd line. And you know me, I'm an oddball. and I'm going to go Oklahoma here. I think the favorites in play.
Yeah, you look at Oklahoma's non-conference portion of the schedule where they built up a lot of those wins, and it ranks number 317 out of 363 teams. So they definitely did not play a strong non-conference schedule, and we'll keep that in mind when we make picks going forward, and we always do. And people, that's kind of stuff you need to look at, because when you go into conference play, especially early in conference play, some teams' records going into conference play may be a bit deceiving, and that's why. You have to look at who they face in the non-conference portion of their schedule and equate, are they as good as their record? And these guys made a good point with that. So there you go. All right, Sean, what do you got coming up?
I got a 5-pack of college hoops on tap for tonight on the site, loaded up there. And I'll see. I don't know. We'll see if we can find some NBA and hockey during the week. But NFL, I got 2 games up. I didn't put the packages up. They're on the site, though. If you buy a pass, you'll already have games up. I try not to do it, you know, Russ. You put up packages, and next thing you know, there's one guy has 15 things up, and you got to keep scrolling down to the bottom of the thing to see somebody's got one. So I kind of just put those up usually on a Thursday, a little closer to game time than early in the week. But that's all we say, you know, you get a weekly pass, you can buy stuff like that for any of us. You're going to get all this early, and you'll know who you like ahead of time.
Yeah. So there you go. Sean Higgs over at gamblersworld.net, one of the finest handicappers you'll find anywhere in the country, as well as this gentleman, Mr. Jesse Schule, who has proven not only this year, not only in recent times, but over the last decade plus, that he's one of the more consistent winners in the sports betting industry. Jesse, tell him what you got going on, my friend.
Well, Ross, in the final week of the regular season for NFL, I decided to put out a video on my YouTube channel picking every game on the board. Went 9-5, 14 games that week. Then I tried my luck in the wild card round and the divisional round, and swept the board in the divisional round, actually, 4-0 with the picks. And we're sitting at 65% for the last 3 weeks with those picks. So you're going to want to tune in to my free pick videos, which will also be available at gamblersworld.com. And 2024, we're off to a great start specifically with NHL, NBA. College hoops has sort of been, you know, some highs and lows there. But overall, with all sports, we're off to a great start to 2024. We're coming off of what I would consider a subpar 2023, which was still more winners than losers, following up on a very stellar 2022. So we're looking for another big year here in 2024, and you're going to want to join me at gamblersworld.net.
There you go. Jesse Schule, one of the finest you'll find anywhere, not only in the United States or Canada, but the world, because he resides in
Vietnam tomorrow.
Jesse will be in Vietnam tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, yeah, where's Ninja? Is he going to be Ninja?
He won't be doing.
Maybe Ninja will watch it. Tell him to send you a message on Twitter or something, YouTube. Like, hey man, we'll get some lunch.
I would have loved that. Yeah. I would have said, "Good morning, Vietnam," if you were on with us tomorrow. But you're not. Enjoy your time and have a safe trip with your family.
You think people are going to get that? Will people get the Robin Williams thing there? Do you think they'll understand what that's actually a movie?
Nah, I know it's ancient. Yeah, I know.
You got to be over 40, I think, to get that at this point.
Yeah, well, I qualify. Yeah. So, anyway. You could find me at gamblersworld.net. Here it is, folks. I'm as transparent as they can come, and the guys on this channel are, or they wouldn't be here as well. You heard me brag a lot. You know, I went 5 straight months making a profit. I'm having a terrible January start. Okay, this happened last year too, and I ended up with in the top 10 over at Sportscat, or top 20 at Sports in terms of overall profit for the year. But again, I beat on my chest when I win, and I'll tell you when I'm losing. And I'll tell you right now, I had a horrible weekend. It was horrible. I had 1, 2, depending on what site you're looking at, I had 4 pushes on Saturday. 4 pushes. You know, 3 on our site, 4 on other sites, and I went on our site 2-6-3. Terrible. Lost 2 close games in the NFL on Sunday. What does that mean? That means that I'm being honest. That means that I've told you many times over the years that we don't win all the time. We've all told you that. That's one of those cases right now. I could tell you this. When this type of situation occurs, watch out, because talk to me in 3 weeks and we'll see where we're at. Okay, so you got a couple guys that are killing it right now, and Sean and Jesse. So take advantage of that at gamblersworld.net. And keep an eye on me, because I'm about to break out in a big way. It's just the way this goes. And you know, you got to just wipe the slate clean and move on to the next day. And yesterday was a good start, as I had the Chicago Bulls, although didn't come without any anxiety. The Bulls blew a 17-point halftime lead. That lose the game by 2, but you know, it's still covered as a 5-point dog. In any event, and Sean also does a daily podcast called Midday Money. And Sean, I don't know, we were talking off air that are you evolving from that, or are you going to keep that going? Or
no, it'll be on the Winner Free Picks channel, and I put on the Sean Higgs. But I think I'm going to get like a little less time. Like we've talked off air about how, for YouTube to really push your stuff, you got to have a trade off of views and minutes, or minute wise, the viewer watchership,
the attention span,
the watch time to the length. So I have a lot of views overall the course of the show, but the watch time is around between like 9 and 12 minutes, which isn't crazy considering the show's sometimes 45 minutes.
It's actually pretty good. It's actually
10
pretty
minutes,
good. So.
And that's basically where I go. I'll give you my recap of the days before, whether the picks in the show, picks overall, just some nonsense about the games before, and then the picks we have for today. And then it gets into the comments. So I'm going to try to keep it like around the 10 to 15 minute mark, because if I can still get over 50% watch time on that, I think it'll help get more views around. So I don't know. You know what it is. You want the most people to watch, but is it at the detriment of, okay, I'm answering all the questions for an hour and a half, but it's not being seen anywhere because YouTube's not going to push a show that has a watch time of 10 minutes on 2 hours, or 15 minutes on 2 hours.
Yeah, all you need to do is look at our archive shows and then look at our live shows. And it's to Sean's point, for whatever reason, our live shows don't do nearly as good as what we do here on a daily basis. I will say this, and I have to blow my own horn here.
But that makes sense, though, Ross, because
the same guy that's making decisions over at Picks and Parlays told me 3 years ago what I was doing was antiquated. And here we are with over 12,000 subscribers since then, and over 1 million views. So we've had over 400 new subscribers over the last 28 days alone. So a lot of it has to do with our format, and a lot of it has to do with the quality of the guests that we have on here. You know, a lot of it has to do with me as a host. I'm an actual sports betting expert that's been doing this for over 20 years. Okay. You could have good looking women to host your show. You could have a guy that you hire cheap to do your show. I'm not throwing stones at any of those individuals, but you very rarely get a host that's very astute to what's going on in the world of sports betting. Sean's one of them. Okay. But he does it on his own. I think if you took Sean's show and you added a couple guests on daily and shortened it up, that you would see similar numbers. There's no doubt in my mind. So yes, YouTube is a fickle thing. You have to figure out their algorithm and what works best for not only the guys on the show, but what's going to adhere to the audience. And you know, there's always that percentage, Sean. It's really high to get that high attention span when it comes to minutes per against what the length of the show is. And a lot of that, has to do too is how many people just turn on and turn it off after just 20 seconds. That brings that number down immensely. So when you say 9 to 10 minute attention span, it's actually a lot better than people would think, because that means there's other people that are watching for 20, 25 minutes. It's an average. But in any event, I'm glad that we're doing what we're doing here. I'm glad I have these two guys with me. I'm glad I have Paul Bovey. I'm glad I have Doug Upstone. Chip Chirimbus hopefully will be back, and that has to do with his health. And we're going to have Matt Fargo on in a couple weeks. He'll start to be a regular. And again, we bring you the best type of sports betting podcast you could find anywhere on the internet today in the format that we do. So I'm glad to have you guys is what I'm trying to say. And I appreciate both of you. And I think you guys have been true professionals, and you've been reliable, and you're a wealth of information. And that's why this show is successful. In any event, for Sean Higgs, Jesse Schule. Well, by the way, folks, there's a like button underneath, Jesse.
Smash the like button.
Smash that like button, folks. It's just a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put into bringing you a quality podcast 6 times a week on our great channel here. And don't forget, if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? It's absolutely free to do so. We've had over 400 people subscribe just in the last 28 days, like I just alluded to. Make yourself one of those. Make yourself a statistic that I could talk about in the next couple of days. Subscribe. It's absolutely free to do so. There's a black subscribe button right underneath. Click that. Costs you nothing to do that. And also, if you're on your PC, you'll see a WC logo on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Serves the same purpose. Click on it. Absolutely free to do so. And then take one step further. Go into your YouTube settings and click on the notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel, and you'll be notified immediately upon any of our podcasts being published on our great channel. All right? So until the next time, for Sean Higgs and Jesse Schule, I'll be back with Sean tomorrow morning. I will be back this afternoon with Paul Bovey discussing the 2 NFL games. But until then, folks, take care and God bless.